So, a few hours ago, some rumor mill started churning, and I was just sitting around in my Discord with my viewers, subscribers, and some of them started talking about this Sony possibly buying Take-Two. Of course, Take-Two, publisher, parent company of several other companies like 2K, Hangar 13, and another one, you may have heard of it, Rockstar Games. And it didn't take too long for other information to come out. And that's why we're going to get straight into this from gamesindustry.biz. By the way, shout out once again to all my peeps in our Discord about those rumors. Sony is buying Take-Two. Oh yeah, this article also linked below in the description section. Let's see, earlier today, the gaming world reacted with shock to word that Sony was on the verge of closing a deal to acquire Take-Two Interactive, possibly giving the PlayStation platform first-party exclusivity on key franchises like Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead, and NBA 2K, among others. Take-Two responded to the gamesindustry.biz inquiry saying, quote, "As a practice, we do not comment on rumors or speculation. As of the writing, Sony has yet to respond to a request for comment." The news stemmed from a MarketWatch report on the U.S. stock market headlined by concerns over Brexit and the impact various countries' grounding of 737 MAX 8 aircraft. You know, that really sucked, by the way. But anyways, it's weird how all this is tying together. Let's see, towards the bottom of the roundup in the list, stocks drawing particular attention is this note about Take-Two Interactive. Quote, "Take-Two Interactive stock climbed 4.7% on rumors that Sony Corp is in advanced board-level discussion to acquire Take-Two Interactive in a mostly cash deal. Money, money, money. No stocks, no anything else. Hard cash. That would value the company at $130 shares, according to Joel Kaluna, head of technology and media trading at Wedbush Securities." Quote, never heard of him. When Games Industry reached out for details, Kaluna said he was confirmed at the sudden attention. Quote, "This is purely unconfirmed market speculation that is making the rounds. I'm not the source of the story in any regard, and not sure who quoted me, as I didn't speak with anyone over the phone, unless someone saw a trading note I wrote." Kaluna did release a note today that included a bit of MarketWatch quoted under heading specified all stock markets codes and whatnot. Yeah, I guess that's Take-Two Interactive, making rounds, plus 2.5%, no source, unconfirmed. Anyways, the writers of the MarketWatch piece, Sue Chang and Chris Matthews, in turn confirmed for Games Industries that Kaluna's note was the only place they had heard that rumor. Based off a note, all this wild craziness? Wow. Quote, "The stock shot up at the start of the trade today that led the S&P 500, and I was simply looking for a plausible explanation," Matthews said. "Joel's in a good position to know what's moving individual tech stocks, even if they're just rumors. In terms of timing, Take-Two stock was well up before this email went out, so it was not his dissemination of the rumor that sparked the move." This is not to say that Sony is definitively not buying Take-Two Interactive for $130 per share, but it's perhaps to point out that the stories currently making the rounds aren't stemming from any individual actually asserting them as true. Instead, they're simply accounts of people passing along what they have heard, with no way to determine the credibility of the original claims, that such talks are in place, what level they would be taking place on, how much the offer would be per share, or how such information would have leaked. Now, if we go by somebody that has a little bit of inside baseball regarding the goings-on over at Rockstar and possibly Take-Two as well, FunNW2 says this on Twitter, Sony is buying Take-Two. No, they can't do that. Turns out it's not happening. This, once again, according to somebody that, has a few inside sources within Rockstar and possibly even Take-Two as well. Even IGN, by the way, this article will also be linked below in the description section, says this: everyone is freaking out about an unfounded rumor of Sony acquiring Take-Two. So, yeah, even IGN is not buying this one. And, they kind of sort of like the clicky baities just a little bit. A rumor making waves around the internet suggests that Sony is in advanced board-level discussions to take over Grand Theft Auto Online publisher Take-Two Interactive, though there are plenty of reasons to be skeptical of this rumor, especially because it comes from an unfounded market chatter, which is what we went over a few minutes ago. So, most people are just like, sure, whatever, not happening most likely. But anyways, feel free and let me know your thoughts below in the comment section. Do you think that Sony is working behind the scenes secretly, meeting with executives at Take-Two Interactive in order to take on the super takeover cash deal in order to acquire all of Take-Two? 2K, Hangar 13, whatever they're working on, post-Mafia 3, as well as the big prize itself, Rockstar Games, which includes all the Rockstar Games satellite companies like Rockstar North in Scotland, predominantly over Grand Theft Auto, Rockstar North, which is usually head of anything Red Dead, even though Red Dead Redemption 2 was basically built by the entire company of Rockstar Games, all the developer houses around the world, and all the smaller developer houses too will be part of this so-called deal. Now, as a content creator that obviously covers and streams Rockstar Games, and somebody that does a little bit of research on this whole thing, and I've learned a long time ago that you have to look for sources, vet them, and not just go by a supposed note before you believe something to be scripture. I think that it's quite possible, and I think several people brought this up in Discord, that maybe Sony expressed interest in acquiring Take-Two, which, by the way, is probably one of the best off gaming publishers right now, especially with the success of Rockstar Games, most recently Red Dead Redemption 2, and how profitable Grand Theft Auto 5 has been over the past 5 years, along with its online mode, Grand Theft Auto Online, extremely popular through the shark cards. Maybe one day Red Dead Online will also be somewhat profitable. Maybe. But, yeah, Take-Two's doing okay for itself right now. Plus, they have their 2K games and whatever Hangar 13 is working on, their top secret new game. It's probably not going to be Mafia 4. I know some people want that, myself included. Probably not that. But anyways, compared to how some of the other video game publishers are doing right now, like Bethesda, EA, Activision, Ubisoft, some of them aren't doing so well. I think right now Take-Two's probably not really in a position where they want to sell. Their stocks are up, like we went over a moment ago. I don't think that really has anything to do with Sony wanting to buy them or not. I think the success of Red Dead Redemption 2 financially is helping. Their other assets they got are probably doing okay. I'm not very familiar with 2K games. Like I said, I'm somewhat familiar with Hangar 13 because of Mafia 3. But overall, I think that if you go by the publishers in the gaming industry, Take-Two's probably doing considerably better stock-wise than some of the others, which have had a degree of scandal with, EA, like at first with, Battlefront 2, the Loot Crate issues, now most recently with Anthem, and then, of course, Activision with some of the stuff going on over there. Yeah, if there's a publisher house that's probably not really needing to sell, that's doing okay for itself, it's Take-Two. And I don't really see them selling to Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, or anybody. They can hypothetically sell to somebody. If Sony offered them enough money, then it could happen. Never say never, as they say. But to be honest, just like most people feel right now, I just don't see the evidence. I went and looked up different sources as well, and it all points to the same thing. It's rumor, speculation, and could end up being much to do about nothing. And like I said, it's possible that somebody at Sony talked to somebody at Take-Two, and maybe that's as far as it went, even though supposedly there's some sort of, deep level board discussion going on, some behind the scene negotiation. If it happens, then obviously I was wrong, and it wouldn't be the first time I was wrong. And let's just say that hypothetically that does transpire, that I was wrong, that others was wrong, that this rumor turns out to be true, and Sony does buy Take-Two Interactive, including everything under the Take-Two Interactive umbrella. Everything I've mentioned and the things I haven't mentioned. Specifically Rockstar Games, which in its own right is extremely successful and is perhaps one of the biggest developing houses in the world, as I mentioned. They have several studios, two big ones, one in Scotland, Rockstar North, and the other big one is all the way out in San Diego. And then they have a few smaller ones as well that I think help out here and there with the games that they've worked on, are working on, will be working on, as well as Grand Theft Auto Online and Red Dead Online content. So I think that it's also not out of the realm of possibility that hypothetically, even if Sony was to buy Take-Two, which includes 2K, Hangar 13, maybe some other publishers I didn't mention, that Rockstar could simply go solo. They may not be part of the deal because of the fact that they're big enough to survive on their own. They have a headquarters in New York, and they theoretically could become their own developer slash publisher, and they would probably be just fine going that route. So at the end of the day, there's no guarantee that Rockstar would end up being part of a Sony takeover deal of Take-Two Interactive. But then again, you got to wonder, well, if Rockstar isn't part of that takeover, the plan that may or may not be a thing regarding this rumor mill of Sony's interest in Take-Two, then why would they be interested? Well, like I said, Take-Two does have some other assets of particular interest that Sony might just be interested in. But obviously the big gem would be Rockstar. So chances are Rockstar could be part of that deal. So let's just say hypothetically, Sony buys Take-Two for a ridiculous amount of money, cash deal, record setting, and it includes everything under Take-Two, including Rockstar Games. Would that necessarily mean that future Rockstar games would be Sony exclusive? I seriously doubt that. Now, it's possible that Rockstar may every now and then make a game like Bully 2, which is rumored to be being in the process of worked on, or else they're in deep development already. There's rumors that they're casting, and I think there's some information out there that actually backs that rumor. So Bully 2 could very well be in their next project, their next game. How soon we get that remains to be seen. But if Sony buys Take-Two along with Rockstar, maybe they'll make Bully 2 a Sony exclusive for the PlayStation 5. But I seriously doubt that even a company like Sony would miss out on the opportunity to sell a future Grand Theft Auto or a future Red Dead Redemption game for all platforms in order to make as much money as possible. I know they have a vested interest in keeping the PlayStation line going from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5, etc. But there's a lot of Grand Theft Auto fans that are on Xbox One as well as PC. The same goes for Red Dead Redemption. Xbox One fans, and eventually Red Dead Redemption 2 will get on PC. I don't know if it's going to be sometime this year, at the earliest, a few months from now maybe, or maybe next year. But I get the feeling that we will see Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC. But going back to the subject at hand, I could imagine Sony doing like an early access thing where through Rockstar, yeah, they would be continuing to be autonomous, creating their own games, because they have that with Take-Two. They have a certain degree of independence that 2K and Hangar 13 lack. So I'm sure that Sony would probably not want to screw that up and let the Hauser brothers continue to run the show, but they'd probably give some advice, some thoughts, views, and opinions about the direction they'd like them to go IP-wise. But I could see them releasing a Grand Theft Auto 6, and it would be early access. It would first come to the PlayStation 5, and maybe 3 to 6 months later it would come to the Xbox 2 or whatever they call the next Xbox platform, and then later on to PC. But I highly doubt that Sony would pass on the opportunity to profit from any Rockstar game big enough to have a huge fan base on more platforms than just their own. But then again, I could be wrong, and maybe their entire intention is to simply make Grand Theft Auto games and future Red Dead games PlayStation exclusives in the hopes of destroying Microsoft or Xbox once and for all, along with PC and Switch or whatever future console Nintendo happens to have. But at this rate, I seriously doubt Red Dead Redemption 2 will ever come to the Switch, let alone Grand Theft Auto 6. Maybe Bully 2, but that depends on how big that game is going to be. So anyways, that's my views, my opinions regarding this whole situation. Once again, I do not think that this is actually going to happen. I think that Take-Two will remain independent, its own publishing company. It's doing well enough with 2K, whatever Hangar 13 happens to be working on. Hopefully that'll be an awesome game. And of course, the big diamond, the big gem in the Take-Two crown, Rockstar Games with Red Dead Redemption 2, the possibility of a Bully 2, and continuing to update Grand Theft Auto Online as well as Red Dead Online. Hopefully that'll get better, and a future Grand Theft Auto game somewhere down the road. So that's pretty much what I think about this whole situation. A rumor with very little to go on, and chances are this is probably not going to happen, but then again, I could be wrong. I guess only time will tell. But I would like to know what you think. Your thoughts, your views, and opinions regarding Sony possibly taking over Take-Two. Will it happen or will it not happen? And if it does happen, what will the future of the Take-Two games be like? Will Sony keep them as exclusive to PlayStation 5? Or will some games get early access to PlayStation 5, eventually porting over to the next-gen Xbox as well as PC? Whatever you have to think about this whole situation, feel free and chime in below in the comments section.